Hey everybody, it is the TheAngryHoneyBadger here, and it is time for the tier list for patch 520. It has been a full week since the release, or a little bit over a week since the full release of patch 520. We have seen the release of Kindred, so that is now, well, kind of on the list. We're going to talk about that and the placement of Kindred in a little bit. The other things what has happened since things have come out are a lot more Worlds games. And as much as Worlds is on patch 518, there's a lot of champions on patch 518 that haven't seen changes. So we can kind of get a gist of power and relevancy a little bit from Worlds, although we don't just bank it on that at all. But we can see a little bit. It helps shape things and helps get a better handle on a few champions that we're not sure about. So let's dive on into the list. But before that, if you could leave a like, I would appreciate it. And if you want to share this with anybody, I'd also appreciate that too. Jumping into the S tier, the first champion we're going to talk about is going to be Gangplank. Gangplank has a 100% pick and ban rate at Worlds. The few times he has been actually played, he has a 100% win rate. So right now, king of the game, I don't want to say king of the game, but pretty much it's Gangplank when it comes to those terms on the professional level. Outside of that, he still does an outrageously good job in the game. The only thing people ever usually mess up on Gangplank is if they try to accelerate his early game and try to fight way too much. You want to farm up and get to mid and late game. That is Gangplank. But Gangplank's incredibly strong right now. He did see some nerfs a couple patches, but he's still incredibly strong. About the only thing I think that can nerf him at this point is a longer cooldown on his barrels or smaller blow up radius or something, because he's got quite a bit of power in the late game. The other thing we're going to talk about in this tier is, of course, Tahm Kench, who was not originally, but last time on the tier list, he was an A tier top laner because of how tanky and how much damage he could still do while being tanky. Now he's an S tier support because we've seen a lot more play with him. We've also seen him coming up in just within the normal game, not even the pro scene. Him being played more as a support, people are figuring him out. People are learning you can be incredibly tanky even as a support with the low income that you have, and your gray health is very impactful in game. You can absorb a crazy amount of damage and live through it. The other thing he does incredibly well, and the big reason why he gets lifted all the way up here, we can see Alistair and Brahmer up here with him. Alistair and Brahmer are good at protecting their team. Tahm Kench can eat somebody and keep them incredibly safe for a good duration of time while getting them out of the fight and repositioning them, and it has become incredibly apparent how helpful that is in normal games and how incredibly important that is in the professional scene. We've seen it a lot at Worlds, so Tahm Kench is becoming a contested pick because of his strength, and he did get buffs recently but on the patches after his release, so Tahm Kench has really only been going up. As for the things in the A tier, let's move on to that. Now, the first thing we're going to talk about, I think we talked about him in the last tier list, is Darius. Darius is roughly in about the same spot. Now, the only reason I want to talk about him again is he did receive nerfs this patch, and I think it did hurt him a little bit, but not enough to really move him down yet. He's still very good. I think some people would love to throw him in the God tier. I can't throw him in God tier. He is way too easy to kite, and if he falls behind a little bit early, I know he can still dunk later on in the game and deal true damage, but he's really not that impactful, to be honest. And when he falls behind by half an item, it is pretty impactful. And the same thing has happened to him at Worlds. When he falls behind, it is super apparent when that happens. He doesn't actually have the world's greatest win rate. It's not bad. It's like 50-something% at Worlds. But right now, he's pretty on par to honestly where he might need to be. We'll see if he has future changes. Once again, he's super easy to kite. If you're having a hard time with him, get somebody who kites well, and Darius is really no problem. The other champion I want to talk about in this tier specifically is Veigar. He's been seeing plenty of play in solo queue. We've also seen him a little bit at Worlds. He's actually got a terrible win rate at Worlds. Some teams know how to play around it, some teams don't. He also lacks certain things. As much as his event horizon is good for people who are bad at playing around it, he has some good burst and some good potential for sure, but the problem is he still doesn't have the world's strongest laning phase. And it's not that every champion needs to have a strong laning phase. Some champions rely on just getting to the late game, but he can be exploited because mid lane is an exploitable lane when there's ganking involved, and depending on who else is in mid against him at the time. I've been playing against him plenty and really have been having no problems, but his win rate and a few other things suggest he's slightly better than where he was previously on the list, so he has moved up. And I'm going to keep an eye on him because I think in the future they might be nerfing him. I think he is a champion that Riot is having a hard time nerfing or buffing, because he either gets nerfed, people think he's worthless and he falls off completely, or he gets a small buff. It makes him incredibly overpowered. He's one of those champions that floats that line that's difficult to keep in a good spot. So we'll see where he goes in the future. We're going to keep an eye on him. As for things in the B tier, let's talk about Renekton. Renekton's shown up a little bit at Worlds, and Renekton hasn't been changed in quite a long time. Renekton has been a good and viable top laner for a while now, and he's also an early game bully. I think a lot of people forget that about Renekton, so he's actually in quite a good spot against some of these other top laners that we've been seeing, some of these other juggernauts. Renekton builds the juggernaut items very well as another thing that you can really team up in his kit, because his scaling originally used to be the bad thing, but these juggernaut items kind of help him with his mid game and help him get to a stronger damage power point in the late game. So Renekton is moving up just a little bit. He's basically just sitting right outside of A right now, if you want to look at it that way. Renekton's very good. I want you guys to start trying him out. Also, I'll mention it just real quick, Dr. Mundo's also moved up into the B tier as well. He's got an incredibly good win rate with the changes he saw in the last patch. Those changes to his miasma, they have just helped him tons. So we're gonna see if he flies even further. Another funny champion here is Maokai. Maokai's just been falling badly. His win rate's been plummeting. People have been playing him less. He's been less impactful. He's doing terrible at Worlds. Remember when he was like the bee's knees up in top lane? No longer a thing. So Maokai's also fallen. Jumping things over into the C tier. Hey, look who's a support in the C tier now. Taric. Taric's in the C tier. I took him out of the bad tier. He's still not great. He's in the okay tier. I felt bad having him in bad because he is playable, but it's not a super amazing thing. I think a lot of people forget about him too, and that he actually still does kind of work, but I have moved him up, so any of you Taric players and all lovers of gems, he is now going to be sitting pretty comfortably in C tier for now. As for the rest of C tier, not a lot has happened. Sion moved back down into this tier. Mundo took his spot basically in B. The other champion that I'm going to definitely keep an eye on is Kennen. I can't move him out of here yet, although I've been screwing around with him too a little bit personally to see if I can move him out. I think we'll be moving him up, to be honest. I think he's stronger than this. The other thing too is we've been seeing him a lot as a support lately, not just at Worlds. I've seen it in normal games too. Maybe I'll move him up as a support coming up. So I will see where he will fit. I think he's probably slightly better than this right now, but I don't know if I can fully move him up a lot. But we're gonna keep an eye on him because I don't know why I feel like he's better than he is currently, but we're gonna figure it out. And I promise you, I'll have an answer for you next week within the list. Maybe I won't talk about it, but we'll see where he goes. As for the D tier or the bad tier, there's only 3 champions in it right now. It's Singed, who I think's weird. There's Fiddlesticks, who still needs help in my opinion, and then there's Galio as a mid laner. These guys are just gonna hang out in here until something happens in the game, meta, items, maybe a buff, we'll see. I don't like to put tons of champions in the bad tier, but this is where these 3 are gonna sit for now. And moving on to the F tier, this is the difficult to place or the joke status. Joke status would be Poppy. She is just a handful. We've talked about this. Teemo actually did get some buffs. I am tempted to move him into the B tier, to be completely honest. I'm just not quite there yet. Maybe in the future. Like you guys know, I have played Teemo actually, so quite a bit. But I just can't do it quite yet. And now Kindred is down in this part of the list, and it's only because I'm thinking Kindred is difficult to place at the moment. Win rate wise, not that great. Damage output wise, pretty good. I think it's a little too early to just base certain numbers off of where I can place them. I've played Kindred, feels pretty damn strong to me. Kindred gets really snowbally early, and I've had no problem with the snowbally aspect of it at the moment. We'll see how it goes in the future. Like I said, I'm going to keep one, we'll have a couple weeks till the next tier list comes out. I really am interested to see if Kindred's even talked about on the next patch. So that's one thing I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for a few other things too. Most champions, when they come out, sometimes, yes, their win rate flies up, but most of the time people aren't used to how a champion works, and their numbers are inflated or deflated based on inexperience. And so some of the ways I'd make the list with numbers from certain queues or from pros or from damage outputs and all types of certain things, and obviously personal experience playing these champions. I just don't have enough information gathered on Kindred to make a good pick or a good spot. Right now, I tentatively put Kindred somewhere in the middle of A tier as a jungler, but I think Kindred needs a nerf early game and a buff late game. I'll just say that much. We'll see how it goes in the future, but this is where they're going to stay for now. That is the tier list for patch 520. Some champions and some parts of the tiers weren't hardly shifted. Patch 520 was a pretty small patch in comparison to things we'll be seeing coming up with the preseason pretty much on the horizon at this point. So some things shifted. You'll see individual champions moving around the list if you want to keep an eye on them, but not tons of shifts. But when a patch isn't enormous, obviously there's not a lot of play for champions to make drastic moves. So that's the way the list works for now and looks for now. If you have any questions or comments, leave me one down below, and I will try to get back to it if it's something I can answer. So go ahead and leave your input down there. Like I said, if you could like this video, I would greatly appreciate it. But other than that, I wish you all the best of luck on the fields of justice.